Atoms and molecules. The idea of divisibility of matter was considered long back in India around 500 BC. An Indian philosopher, Maharishi Kannad, postulated that if we go on dividing matter, that is Padartha, we get smaller and smaller particles. At the end, we come across a stage when we get the smallest particles beyond which division is not possible. He called such particles Parmanu. Another Indian philosopher, Pakura Katyayama, elaborated this doctrine and said that these particles normally exist in a combined form which gives us various forms of matter. Around the same era, ancient Greek philosophers Democritus and Leucippus suggested that if we go on dividing matter, a stage will come when the particles obtained cannot be divided further. Democritus called these indivisible particles atoms. The law of chemical combination was established after the experiments done by Lavoisier and Joseph L. Proust. The law of conservation of mass states that the mass before reaction is equal to the mass after reaction. The law of conservation of mass also states that the mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. Law of constant proportion. In a chemical substance, the elements are always present in definite proportion by mass. For example, H2O contains 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, which will remain the same in all molecules of water. John Dalton was born in a poor weaver's family in 1766 in England. He has made the atomic theory. The Dalton's atomic theory states that all matter is made up of very tiny particles called atoms which participate in chemical reactions. Atoms are indivisible particles which cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. Atoms of a given element are identical in mass and chemical properties. Atoms of different elements have different masses and chemical properties. Atoms combine in the ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. The relative number and kinds of atoms are constant in a given compound. Let's have a look at a short video.
All matter is comprised of tiny definite particles. Atoms are indivisible and indestructible.
2. Atoms are indivisible and indestructible.
3. All atoms of a particular element share identical properties, including weight. 4. Atoms of different elements contain different mass.
Atoms of different elements contain different mass.
Atoms of different elements combine in fixed whole number ratios
Atoms of different
when forming
elements
compounds.
combine in fixed whole number ratios when forming compounds.
Atoms. What are atoms? Atoms are the basic structure of all matter and hence they are known as the building blocks of matter. Atoms comprise of negatively charged particles known as electrons. They also comprise of particles with no charge known as neutrons and positively charged particles known as protons. Neutrons and protons are present in the nucleus. Dalton was the first scientist to use symbols for elements in a very specific sense. Soon, Berzelius stated that the symbols of elements should be made from 1 or 2 letters of the name of that element. In the beginning, the names of elements were derived from the name of the place from where they were found for the first time. For example, copper was taken from Cyprus. Gold was taken from the English word meaning yellow. IUPAC, that is International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, has stated that the first two letters of an element should be used to symbolize it, and the first letter should be a capital letter and the second letter should be a lowercase letter. These are the symbols for a few elements. The atomic mass is the average weight of each element. Atomic mass is a measure of an atom's mass relative to a carbon-12. There is an easy way to calculate atomic masses for elements. These are a few rules which we need to follow. The atomic number and atomic masses of hydrogen is always 1. The atomic number of helium is 2, which is an even number, and so to get the atomic mass we have to multiply it by 2. The atomic number of lithium is 3, and so to get the atomic mass of lithium we have to multiply it by 2 and then add it by 1. We have to find the atomic masses of all the elements in the same way. There are a few exceptions such as beryllium and nitrogen. The atomic number of beryllium being an even number, we do not have to use the even, we do not have to multiply it with 2, but we have to multiply it with 2 and add 1 to it to get its atomic mass. And we have to do the same thing with nitrogen. Though it is the atomic number of nitrogen is an odd number, we have to just multiply it with 2 to get its atomic mass. Chlorine's atomic number is 17, and to get its atomic mass we have to go by the odd number rule, that is we have to multiply the atomic number by 2 and add 1, and we get the result as 35. After getting the result we have to again add it with 0.5. What is a molecule? A molecule is a group of two or more atoms that are chemically bonded together, that is, it is tightly held together by attractive forces. This is a molecule of water. Molecules of many elements such as argon and helium are made up of only one atom of that element. A molecule of oxygen contains two atoms of oxygen and hence it is known as a diatomic molecule, that is O2. If 3 atoms of oxygen unite into a molecule, instead of the usual 2 we get ozone, that is O3. Metals and some other elements such as carbon do not have a simple structure but consist of a very large and indefinite number of atoms bonded together. The number of atoms constituting a molecule is known as its atomicity. This is the atomicity of a few elements. Monoatomic means it has a single atom. Diatomic means it has 2 atoms. Tetraatomic means it has 3 atoms, and polyatomic means it has more than 3 atoms. Molecules of compounds. A compound consists of two or more elements which is chemically bonded in a fixed ratio. These are the molecules of few compounds and their ratio by mass is also stated. Ions. Ions are charged species. There can be two types of ions, that is a cation and an anion. When a neutral ion gains electron, it is known as anion, and when a neutral atom loses an electron, it is known as cation, which is positive. For example, sodium chloride has its constituents which includes sodium ions which are positively charged and chloride ions which are negatively charged. Polyatomic ion. A polyatomic ion is a group of atoms carrying a charge. These are few atomic compounds and their ratio by mass is also stated. Writing chemical formulae. The chemical formula of a compound is a symbolic representation of its composition. Valency is the combining power or capacity of an element. The following ions have the valency 1, 2 and 3. This is helpful in forming the chemical formulae. Binary compounds consist of two different elements, for example water, which is H2O, salt NaCl, and nitrous oxide, that is N2O. In this way we have to form the formula. The valency of the elements should be written below them and they should be crisscrossed. Now for example, the valency of magnesium is 2 and chlorine is 1. We have to crisscross it and we have to write as MgCl2. Relative molecular mass is the sum of the atomic masses of each atom in the molecule. Formula unit mass is the same as the molecular mass and it is calculated in this way. Molar mass is defined as the mass of 1 mole of a substance in grams and is numerically equal to the atomic mass. Molar mass in grams is numerically equal to the atomic or molecular or formula unit mass in U. .022 into 23 into 10 raised to 23 is known as the Avogadro's number. These are the formulas which will be helpful while solving sums. Mole is the chemist's counting unit. The word mole was introduced around 1896 by Wilhelm Ostwald, who derived the term from the Latin word moles, meaning heap or pile. Thank you.